What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy T.O. and welcome back to Time Out. And today we're going to look at some videos and give us let's see what you think of these.
Here's why you should never open up to your women. Part 1. Regardless of the scenario, whether it's pillow talking after sex or you're going through a hard time in your life, she tells you, "You can tell me everything. Our secrets are safe." So you drop your guard down and tell her everything. There are girls who terminate long-term relationships because she heard that the guy is actually going through depression with his work. There's the soldier's wife filing divorce because the soldier told her how scared he actually was during the war. Every single thing you tell her will be stocked in her arsenal and will be used against you when she sees fit. Women can't beat men physically, but they will try to break down guys emotionally and mentally with words. If you still want to do it, go for it. Just remember, you have been warned.
So, ladies, is this true? And I can speak for most men. I believe that most of us believe that to a degree, this is not okay. So most men don't believe that they can open up to their women. Now, I believe, and I feel that, well, I don't go with feel, but I honestly think that if the woman is really in love with the man, it really doesn't matter. I think these women are not particularly in love with their men, which is why they're finding these reasons to leave. So, women, can men be vulnerable? Can your man be vulnerable to you? And you still have the same respect for him? Let us know.
One of the things that I teach my daughters is that to have more peaceful and functional relationships in this life, there are certain key things that they need to learn and understand about men in general. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, but there are still key things that apply for the most part to most men.
Okay, we're listening.
And the first thing that I teach them is that men and women are completely different. The way we go about things in our lives, the way that we interpret information, the way that we problem solve, the way we view the world, the way that we behave, it's two completely different thought processes. Although,
ladies, if you're out there and you're listening, you believe that we're all the same. To a degree, we all have, most people are born with 2 arms, 2 legs. We all have a heart. But we process information very differently. We honestly do. So, yeah, she is 100% correct on that.
we do have the same basic core human needs to be loved, to be heard, to be understood, to feel wanted. We go about that differently.
So the one thing I would probably change on that is women have a desire to feel wanted. Men don't have a desire to feel wanted. We have a desire to feel needed. So if you want me, I could care less. I just really want to know that you need me, which is probably a lot stronger, I would think.
Women tend to be emotionally based. They move based upon how they feel.
Yep.
Whereas men tend to be more logic based and ego driven.
Yep.
Things.
So this is why if you're arguing with your man a lot of times, it's because he's coming from a perspective of logic, his logic. Now, that may not be your logic, but that's his logic. He doesn't really care about how he feels. And a lot of times he's struggling with how you feel. That's why he's coming from a point of 2 plus 2 is 4. But I often say that when you ask a woman what's 2 plus 2, she normally says it depends. So
Need to make sense. And if you look at men when they're raised, typically when men are younger, they're not really taught how to process their emotions. They're not really taught what to do with their emotions. When you look at them when you're younger, a lot of times they're told, boys don't cry, man up, or they're called a sissy. They're taught to hold everything in. So although they do have feelings, they're not always necessarily sure what to do with those feelings or how to process those feelings.
So typically there's only one person on earth that a man can pretty much go to about his feelings and that person not judge them. And it's typically his mother. But if his mother is closed off emotionally because of trauma that she's endured in her lifetime, he really doesn't have much of anybody. Sometimes he can go to a sibling. They might be able to help, but a lot of times they're probably going through their issues too. So there's that. Let's move on to the next person.
When a girl, instead of saying that you're attractive, she be like, "Oh, mad girls be trying to talk to you, huh?"
Just want to say what y'all. Just say it.
I'm like,
Just
damn.
All you gotta do is say it.
Yeah.
Mad girls
Damn.
be trying to talk to you. Just say
I'm
it.
gonna just start saying yes.
Yes. Just be forward. Just be forward. Forward is.
See, and I think this is the problem there with this guy. Women aren't typically forward, only to a degree, and it's very subtle, but women are very forward. So if you're asking women to be forward, you're probably going to be waiting a while.
Way to be, man.
Is
Look,
it though?
It
I
is.
can't talk to you because you got mad. Pip, you ain't never heard that.
Oh my God.
Well, all right, let's keep it going.
If I made a video right now telling women, hey ladies, put yourself first. Make sure you are the #1 priority in your life. I would get a bunch of, yes, King, go. Yes, you tell him, King. Kind of like Derek Jackson and the rest of them. But I make a video telling men, prioritize yourself. Make sure you come first. Put yourself first. You're gonna be single forever. Toxic masculinity. Fellas, you have been manipulated in a major way, in mass, at scale. And this was to make you exploitable and expendable. And it worked like a charm. Take a look around.
So is he right? Is he true? And this is for the ladies out there. Like, ladies, if you've seen posts about men empowering men, put yourself first and things like that, the first thing to your mind was that, hey, is this toxic masculinity or is this, hey, you do you and take care of yourself? On the other hand, if it's women doing the same thing, are you encouraging or are you disparaging? So let us know.
Today, any woman or person for that matter who has a problem with you prioritizing you and putting yourself first is trying to exploit you. They're trying to use you. Fellas, it is perfectly okay to prioritize you and put you first. It's actually healthy.
I would agree wholeheartedly. And that's not just for guys, it's for everybody. You've got to put you first until you find that person that's going to put you first. And then, like you see the graphic on the screen again, it's about more love. If that person is going to love you more than they love themselves, then they're going to put you first, and you won't have to do that.
Society needs strong masculine men. We have an epidemic of children being raised in fatherless homes, and 80% of divorces are initiated by women. Women are taught that they don't need men and that they're even disposable. We can't do it alone, and we shouldn't accept doing it alone. We really need to stop perpetuating this idea that we don't need men. Men provide us with their life force energy, which impregnates us, and they have a purpose in society, and they are at the foundation of everything that has been built. Men provide protection in a home. They provide stability in a home. They provide responsibility and structure in a home. Yep. Studies have shown that growing up without a father can permanently restructure and rewire the brain and can create more aggression and anger in children. Girls raised without fathers are more likely to be sexually promiscuous and also more likely to get.
So she makes a very good point there, because most men in the household, they are the dominant force in the house, and it checks all other forces in the house. And when there are children in the house that are allowed to run amok, there's no one there to check the force of a 14-year-old boy who's growing into a man, and he is just much bigger and stronger than his mother and sisters. So who's checking him? Who's guiding him? Who's giving them the principles to be able to deal with the anger issues that he's exhibiting. So yeah, I think it happened a lot. It happened in my lifetime, as into my adolescence, having brothers. I grew up with a single mom as well, and there was not much she could do once we turned 15, 16, 17. She was outmanned, outnumbered, outgunned. She was just under fire constantly because we were just too big and too strong for her to deal with. So having a male figure in the house, very important.
Divorced. 70% of teen births happen in homes of single mothers. 70% of dropouts, 70% of suicides, juvenile delinquents, and runaways are raised in single mother homes.
Yep.
Children from single family homes are 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 10 times more likely to suffer from substance abuse, 14 times more likely to commit rape, and 20% times more likely to end up in prison. The strongest predictor of if a person will end up in prison is if they're raised in a single mother home. 70% of inmates serving long-term prison sentences were raised in a single mother home. And you are 4 times more likely to end up in poverty being raised by a single mother.
So why hasn't the government stepped in and said, hey, you know what, let's get rid of, because let's be honest, a lot of single moms rely on government aid. And if the government aid goes away, then now you are relying on each other, the man and the woman. Both of you are relying to get the kids from point A to point B. And not only the kids, to get yourself from point A to point B, to have a good life. So why hasn't the government stepped in? Because most other nationalities of women, Asian, white, Hispanic, they don't walk around calling themselves bad bees and I don't need no man and stuff like that. Which, if you do stuff like that and it's perpetuated over and over again, like the stats that she's telling us about, it's just a pipeline to prison for your child. Now, I know logic is just going to skip a lot of women who watch this video, and it's mainly how you feel. But if you love your children, ladies, if you absolutely love your sons, then you will have your sons grow up in a household with a man. And I'm not saying just any man. That's not what we're saying. We're saying be more selective with the guy that you want to spend the rest of your life with. That's what we're saying. I'm not saying allow someone to abuse you or run over you. I don't condone that, and I don't think anybody else would. But I think the thing that we're saying is find the man that loves you and you love him, and live happily ever after. Stop chasing the bag and chase his heart and give him yours. And you guys will live happily ever after. And that's all we're saying. If you love your boys, fathers keep boys out of jail. Fathers keep girls off the stripper pole. And I know some of you may not think, man, the stripper pole is okay. Well, it's not. I'd rather my daughter be a doctor or a lawyer or an astronaut than a stripper. That's all I'm saying. It's your boy T.O. Where is it at? I always forget where it is. Remember to hit the like, subscribe, notification bell now. We'll keep you updated. Deuces.